Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Cosmos here, and today we're going to be covering the best settings, DPI, and sensitivity for beginners switching to keyboard and mouse. These keybinds and settings are the ones that I used when I switched to keyboard and mouse, and I am so confident in recommending these settings to you because I feel like they're the most optimal settings for beginner keyboard and mouse players. And with that being said, let's jump right into it. Alright guys, jumping right into my settings, we're on full screen 1920 by 1080 using 240 FPS. I want you to set this FPS value to whatever you get in game. So for example, let's say you got 200 FPS. Obviously, don't set it to 240 because you're going to get a whole bunch of input delay and your game's just going to stutter a whole bunch, and you definitely don't want that. So cap it to whatever you get in game. So for example, if I got like 160, 170 in game, I cap it to like 165. But if I got like 200 in game, I'd put it to like 180 or 200. So let's say, for example, if you got 200 FPS, but for some reason you felt like setting it to 180, you could do that if you wanted to. But if you got only 200 FPS in game, you couldn't set it to 240 because you don't hit that in game, and that's going to lead to a bunch of stutters. And as for my graphics settings, we're using brightness on 100%, and I'm using no colorblind mode. That's just personal preference. I sometimes occasionally switch between using Tritanope and Deutranope, or however you pronounce that. Most of the time I just have it turned off, but if you would like to use a colorblind mode like Tritanope, I actually recommend it sometimes because it helps you see in the storm a little bit easier. So if you want to, maybe go Tritanope like 7 or 6, which is what I usually use when I have a colorblind mode on. So maybe give this a try and see how you like it. As for my graphics quality settings, I'm using a custom preset. My 3D resolution is set to 100%. I have my view distance on epic. My shadows are turned off. My anti-aliasing is turned off as well. I have my textures on low, my effects on low, and my post-processing is on low as well. And now for my advanced graphics settings, I have VSync turned off, motion blur turned off, and show FPS turned off as well. It's a personal preference setting, but I just personally like to keep it turned off. My rendering mode is DirectX 11. I don't really like performance mode because the mobile builds really aren't my favorite thing, but if you like performance mode, obviously go ahead. That's just a personal preference thing. Don't change it to DirectX 11 just because I'm using it. Just use whatever your system runs better on. So for my example, it just runs better on DirectX 11, so that's what I use. Allow multi-threaded rendering is turned on. Use GPU crash debugging is turned off. Latency markers are turned off. NVIDIA reflex latency is off, and latency flash is off as well. And now for my main game settings, as you can see, my movement, we have toggle sprint turned off. Sprint by default is turned on. Sprint cancels reloading is turned off, and I have auto open doors turned on because of just the simpleness of it. It just really allows me to save time, especially if I'm in a fight with someone and I have to go through a door. I don't gotta click a key on my keyboard to open that door, so it just saves me a little bit of time, like maybe a second or two, and that second or two could mean the difference between me winning or losing the fight because either I choke and I miss my key to open the door or something. And honestly, it just makes me choke a lot less because if I'm in a fight and someone's just coming around and I have to get through a door, I really don't need to put much effort into it because it opens automatically, and it's probably saved me a couple games and some fights. And as for my combat settings, we have hold to swap pickup turned off, toggle targeting is turned off, mark danger when targeting is turned on, auto pickup weapons is turned off. Now for the preferred item slots, this is what I'm currently using. I'm not going to go over it. If you'd like to pause the video, you can go ahead and do that. So obviously don't copy it if you don't like my configuration. And auto store consumables to the right, that means your med kits, your bandages, your shield potions. Make sure you guys just turn this setting on because if you put your med kits and your shield potions to the right hand side of your inventory already, this just does it automatically for you, so you don't need to go in your inventory and sort it, and you'll probably end up dying when you're sorting your inventory. So it saves you a bit of time there, and it's literally just a time saver. So if you do it already, why not just turn it on? And as for my building settings, my reset building choice is turned off, disable pre-edit option is turned off, turbo building is turned on. You obviously want to have turbo building on or you're going to be stuck in season 2. Confirm edit on release is turned on, and I cannot stress this enough. In every single settings video, I recommend you turn on confirm edit on release. So if you've seen any of my other videos, you're probably really tired of hearing this, so I'm not really gonna go over it, but just trust me, turn on confirm edit on release. It's literally a lifesaver. Just turn it on. You just turn it on. And as for my extra game options settings, I have invert view turned off, invert airborne controls turned on. You know what, these settings are completely useless, but if you'd like to copy them, go ahead and do so. And now we're gonna hop right into the game UI settings, which are completely unimportant, so we're not gonna go over those. So now for my sensitivity, this has actually changed around quite a bit from the last time I made a settings video. It dropped like 3% because I tend to mess with my sensitivity quite a bit, and this is actually a sensitivity that I used to use, so I actually went back to it. And the reason I went back to it was because because I just preferred a lower sensitivity. 8.7% is on my X and 8.2% is on my Y axis sensitivity. If you guys would like to go ahead and copy that, I'm using 800 DPI. My targeting sensitivity is 31.5%. My scope sensitivity is 39.2%, and my ignore gamepad input is turned off, and lock input method as mouse is turned off as well. And as for the controller settings, I don't play on controller, so don't copy these settings. Alright, now on to the audio settings. These are personal preference, so I don't need to go over them. I'll quickly just like scroll down here if you'd like to go ahead and copy them though. And now we're on to the keybinds, the best part of the video in my opinion, because keybinds are super freaking important, guys. And here we're gonna start off with the movement keybinds. Obviously, like any other person, we're using WASD. I don't know how people use like IJKL like some people used to do. I don't know how people did that, but I'm using WASD like a sane person, so I think you should too. My jump keybind is spacebar. Obviously, auto run is on equals. My crouch is on left shift. My fire and target are obviously going to be left and right mouse button. My reload is on R. My use is on mouse wheel down, so I just swipe my mouse wheel down and it picks up weapons for me and opens chest and whatnot. My harvesting tool is on tab. My weapon slots 1 through 5 are on 1 through 5 on my keyboard. And as for my building keybinds, I have crouch while editing on left shift. Now this is the section of the video where I promote a mouse with side mouse buttons. Woohoo! The best part of the video. Let's go. You guys already know, every single settings video that I make, I recommend you to use a mouse with 2 side mouse buttons. And this does not mean you gotta go out and buy a freaking final mouse or some expensive $200, $300, $400 million mouse. You can just go on Amazon and buy some simple like $10 mouse with side mouse buttons, because that's what I started on as a beginner player. I started with some like Walmart mouse, literally off-brand mouse. I can't even tell you the brand of it. It was just Walmart brand mouse, and it was horrible, but it had 2 side mouse buttons. If a Walmart mouse has 2 side mouse buttons, you can buy a mouse with 2 side mouse buttons for like $10 off Amazon. It's just so much better than any Walmart quality mouse, and you don't need to go out and buy the super expensive kinds. Like, I'll literally leave a link to a cheap mouse down below if you'd like to go ahead and buy one. Honestly, guys, if you have a whole bunch of keybinds on your keyboard, like for your wall and stair key, it's just way too many keyboard binds, and that's why every single pro player has mouse buttons, because they use their building binds on their mouse. It saves them so much space on the keyboard for extra keybinds they want to use, and it also just makes the keyboard easier to use because you don't need to like move your fingers a million miles a second across the keyboard to hit all of your building keys. It's so much more convenient, so go out and buy yourself a mouse with 2 side mouse buttons. I'll leave a link down below to one of them that I recommend. So with that promo out of the way, I'm using my thumb mouse button 1, which is my back mouse button, as my wall button, and for my floor I'm using Q on my keyboard, and for my stairs I'm using thumb mouse button 2, which is my forward mouse button, and for my roof I'm using E on my keyboard, and for my trap I'm using T. My repair / upgrade is on G, my rotate building is on R, and my building edit is on F. And as you probably should have guessed by now if you've seen any other settings videos, we are using a scroll wheel reset like any sane person should be using as well. In my case, I'm using scroll wheel up for scroll wheel reset, and it's super easy to set up, so all you want to do is just set F as your building bind or whatever you want to set it to, and then go to the second option, scroll wheel up, and then you have your 2 binds here, and then you want to go down to reset building edit and then click the first option, scroll wheel up, and then you have scroll wheel reset fully enabled. And I'm not going to go over these other keybinds because they're totally useless, but I'll just quickly scroll down here. And vehicle settings are not important. So that's gonna wrap up the keybinds and settings for today's video, guys. With all that being said, I just want to let you guys know that even though I strongly believe in these settings for beginners, you won't become an instant god when you use these settings. They will take time to adjust to, and you're going to need to expect that. You're going to need to build the muscle memory for these settings, and then from there, once you establish good muscle memory, you will then begin to improve like normal. Just make sure you put in a lot of practice into improving, and then you're going to improve really fast. If you guys are new around my channel, check out the videos on the screen or in the playlist down below so that you can improve on keyboard and mouse as fast as possible. And if my video helped you out in any way, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future, because it means so much to me, guys. Also, just a quick announcement for you all, I'm going to be streaming every single day or every other day from today onwards, and the live streams start today, September 7th, 2021 at 11 a.m. Eastern time, and we're going to be recording a special video on stream, and I think it's going to be super fun to make, and I would love to have you guys around to watch it. And I'm also going to be answering any of your questions in live chat if you have any for me. And with all that being said, guys, I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the live stream, and I'll see you all in the next one.